Good morning to all.
Sir, I'm student online.
Good morning to all. Can everyone hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
First, I mute all you. Friends, in our last lecture, we have discussed about syllabus, about paper pattern, and in detail about the introduction of our first short story, that is The Lost Child. In our yesterday's lecture, we have discussed that four major points related to The Lost Child. The first, why it is called as a short story, because it has single idea. Again, there are various types of short stories, like story of character, story of idea, story of situation, story of incident. The present short story, The Lost Child, is a story of situation. Then we have discussed the second major point is about its author, Mulkaraj Anand. Why that Mulkaraj Anand is called as the one of the greatest writer? Because he is the pioneer of Indian English literature. We discussed his major novels like Coolie and Untouchable and how he criticized on the present day contemporary society. After that, the third major point we have discussed is about theme and plot construction of the story. We have discussed that it has two major themes. On the surface level, the story is related with that child, how his love, bond of love and affection with his parents. And the second thing is that on the deeper level, on the metaphysical level, the story is related with everyone, with us, with you, with me, with every human being, that how in this fair of world we have lost ourselves. So that two major themes, we maybe says that these are the two major themes of our present short story. Then the fourth major point we have discussed is about style, is about narration, that it is a third person narration technique used in the present short story by the writer. Again, he has used various images like visual image, oral image, olfactory image to highlight the story. Friends, again in our yesterday's lecture, we see the first major point of objective of the syllabus, that is the close reading. From today, we are going to start our line to line essay reading or close reading. Why it is necessary? The close reading is very necessary, as we always see, for the development of core sense, for the development of literary sense of that particular text, and also for the development of language. Again, whenever we read closely any story again and again, each and every time we find out different meaning from that text, from that story. And that's why these are the great writers which we have to read regularly. It doesn't mean that we have read each and every text. We have to select, and that's why university gives us various proper syllabus and various good writers essays or short stories or whatever it may be. Friends, everyone think that why we can read the original text. If we have summaries, it is easy to qualify or to get marks in the exam with the help of summary. Then why I read that original short story essay? What is the use of it? But due to it, the literary sense and the language of our is developed, which is really necessary nowadays for our career. As I have already discussed, that Francis Bacon, one of the very famous English essayists, also called as the father of English essays, who once quoted that some books are to be swallowed, other to be chewed, and very few to be chewed and digested. It means that we have to select which type of text, which type of book we have to read, and we have to read it regularly, repeatedly. At least each and every text we have to read for 3 times. After that, we will get enough meaning or get an overall idea from that text. It is necessary to read reference books even for your science if you want to make career in physics, mathematics, or in which subject. At that time, it is really necessary to read the reference books of that subject. It is not only important to pass in the exam, because we have to develop the base within these 3 years. And if we want to develop the base of our career, we have to read each and every book which is prescribed for our syllabus, and also the reference books which are given in our syllabus. That is very, very important, because without it, it is not possible to create a proper base. Though we got huge mark in exam, but it is not at all any use for our career. So now I am going to share my screen. On your mobile screen, you can easily see the text of the Lost Child. We have discussed it line by line. And at the end of the session, if you have any doubts, any queries, you can ask me. Even you can unmute your mic and ask me about any doubts related with that particular text. As we have already discussed, it has themes. So we have a rough idea about that particular the short story. So now I am sharing my screen and we are going to start our first line by line essay short story, The Lost Child. Okay. Friends, just see the start of our text. It was. It was the festival of spring. From the wintry shades of narrow lanes and alleys emerged gaily clad humanity, thick as a crowd of bright-colored rabbits issuing from a warren, and entering the flooded sea of sparkling silver sunshines outside the city gates, sped towards the fair. Some walked, some rode on horses, others sat, being carried in bamboo and bullock carts. One little boy ran between his parents' legs, brimming over with life and laughter, as the joyous smiling morning, with its open greeting and unashamed invitation to come away into the fields full of flowers and songs. Just see how he introduced, how at the start of the story, the writer just explained us that the setting of this story is in spring season. As the winter season had just ended, all the people came out of their houses. They were cheerful as the chilling cold weather had ended. People conveyed through different modes: foot, horses, bamboo carts, and bullock carts. A little child. Just see, the start is general. He just expressed with the help of visual images, various visual, oral, and olfactory images about the seasonable mood of all the people. And then he came towards the particular with one child. How one child was accompanied by his parents. That particular child who come to see the fair with his parents, he ran excitedly and often banged into his father's legs. He became so excited to come into that fair. He was full of life and excitement and laughter. As we always say, the small children, the small child, they become very excitementful when they see new things like these. So this is our just start. Just see the language, just see the images, how he uses colorful images. That is very important. I already told you that why this close reading is important. To see the images. Otherwise, its theme or its summary is very easy. But if you want to develop the literary sense and the sense of language, if we want to associate with that text, then it is necessary to read and to understand such type of images. That why writer want or use such images, because he want to emphasize to focus on the spring, on the gaiety mood of everyone. Then come child, come, called his parents, as he lagged behind, arrested by the toys in the shops that lined the way. He hurried towards his parents, his feet obedient to their call, his eyes still lingering on the receding toys. As he came to where they had stopped to wait for him, he could not suppress the desire of his heart. Even though he well knew the old cold stare of refusal in their parents, in their eyes. I want that toy, he pleaded. Just see the first incident which was described with that particular child. That how that child, how he was obedient and would walk towards his parents, but how his eyes would keep on looking the toys that he wanted. As he reached them, he could not control his desire. Just remember that everyone, we have to control our desire. That is very important. As now we are not child, we are grown up men and women, young men and women. So it is necessary we have to control our desires. And here, that small boy, he cannot control his desire and will demand a boy, though he is familiar with the reaction that his parents never allow him or would give him that toy. He knew that because just think why the parents denied us or says no to various things, because there are certain problems and also they knew the world better than us. That's why never become frustrated when parents resist you or says no to anything. Then we say his father looked at him, red-eyed in his familiar tyrant way. His mother, melted by the free spirit of the day, was tender and giving him her finger to catch. Said, "Look, child, what is before you?" Here again, the writer just used various images, various language, style of language. Just say red-eyed in his familiar tyrant, father's way. Tyrant way. Tyrant actually the word which is used for the cruel and oppressive ruler. Here it doesn't mean that the father is a tyrant. But just remember, everyone has to remember that our parents have certain limitations. And even they know better than us that what we need. That's why here the word, he deliberately used that word tyrant. Again, the second, that mother was melted by the free spirit of the day. It doesn't, it just only express how the love and the kindness of mother. Again, it goes from particular to general. Every father and mother behaves like in the same way. There are on several occasions they denied, they says no on our demands, and on several occasions they became very kind and lovable towards us. But we forget such things and we only remember that he says no to me or he became very harsh towards me. That is not the reality. They have certain limitations. They really want your good future, and that's why they have to control certain things also. So here the two images, red-eyed and tyrant way, and again melted by the free spirit of the day. Then we see the next paragraph. The faint digest of the child's unfulfilled desire had hardly been quelled in the heavy, pouting sob of her breath. Mother, when the pleasure of what was before him filled his eager eyes, they had left the dust road on which they had walked so far to wade its very way circuitously to the north and had entered a footpath in a field. So now they are moving on to their next journey. Just see now again how various images that images are very important. That visual, oral, or olfactory images means the images which always attracts to our eyes, to our nose, to our ears. That are very very important, and so that's why the writer is very important. It's not only related with situation or only he expressed the present condition and theme, or he want to give us only message, but his language, the use of language in those days, really it is very important. Just say it was a flowering mustard field, pale like melting gold, as it swept across miles and miles of even land. A river of yellow light echoing and falling with each fresh eddy of wild wind, and straying at places into broad, rich tributary stream, it running in a constant sunny sweep towards the distant mirage of an ocean of silver light. Here it ended on the side road, a dense group of low mud walled houses put into relief both by the lower forms of a dense crowd of yellow robed men and women, by high pitched sequence of whistling, cracking, squeaking, roaring, humming noises, and rose from it across the grooves is the blue throated sky like the weird, strange sound of Shiva's mad laughter. Just see the language. Till it's common that they are just going towards the fair. But how he used that language and various images. He says that it was a flowering mustard field. So that vast field full of bright yellow colored mustard flowers, which he explained like the field of gold. So that is very important. The language, particularly images, mustard colored flowers, they seem like flowing streams of gold and were widespread. Streams of gold. Whenever we see such type of fields, what happens? Our various students goes when they go anywhere to visit any nature spot, we feel bored. What is that? If we have developed this type of literary sense, then within that field also we get enough enjoyment, enough happiness. But for that, we have to develop these literacy, and that's why the close reading is necessary. Various students who visited on various spots, they said, "Sir, what is that? Every spot is the same." The matter is not like that. Students, we have to develop this type of positive attitude. When we see such type of mustard trees in our mind, automatically the views related to that flowing streams of gold come in our mind, and we feel happy. A group of dragonflies, black bees, these are again we see always come, and here he want to explain us. Just see, the child looked up to his father and mother, saturated with the shrill joy and wonder of this vast glory, and feeling that they too owe the evidence of this pure delight in their faces, left the footpath and plunged heading into the field, prancing like a young colt, his small feet teeming with the fitful gust of wind that came winnowing from the fragrance of the more distant field. Here again he discussed, he compared him with that horse who is always eager, young horse. And here that boy, he always became very happy and he eager to see various things. After that, he again used various images. Just focus on the language, which is very important. The images, visual, oral, and olfactory images. These images are always compared with the various images which we have to face in the real world. John Keats, one of the very famous poets, once he quote, "A thing of beauty is joy forever." It means that whatever we see beautiful, we really get joy from that thing. And due to these things, we always attracted towards and we lost ourselves from that thing. It is good to take joy from that thing, but it is also bad that we are not lost in such fear of world. He just want to say, he just suggests here various images, which means that we have to control our desires. The world is full of such things, such pleasurable, such physical things, but we have to control. While we are attaining, pursuing our goals, we have to control on ourselves, on our desires, which are very important. Just see another images in the next paragraph. A group of dragonflies. A group of dragonflies were bustling about their hazy purple wings, interpreting the flight of a lone black bee or butterfly in search of sweet perfume from the herds of flowers. The child followed them in the air with his gaze, till one of them would fold its wings and sit down, and he would try to catch it, but it would go fluttering, flapping, hovering in the air, which he had almost caught it in his hands. One whole black bee, having evaded capture, sought to tempt him by wheeling round his ear and nearly settled on his lips when his mother made a cautionary call, "Child, child, come, come," on the footpath. So here again, just we see how that child, how he lost himself into that nature, into that beautiful nature, like the group of dragonflies. Just see, he used various images. Here he want to only explain us that how the nature is, how the world is full of with beautiful images. If we develop that type of sense, then we can get enjoy happiness from any moment, from anywhere. He just explained that group of dragonflies, black bees, butterflies, buzzed around, sucking the nuclear from the flowers. The child looked at them as they flew around. When one of them sat somewhere, he tried to catch them, as we always did in our childhood days. We also want to catch that butterflies whenever we were child. So he tried to catch them, but the teeny creature would fly away the next instant. The mother called him lastly and started walking down the footpath. So, up to this, we have to discuss only the background, the way, and how human being related particularly with that child, how it always interested into such worldly pleasure, and how he always lost himself and become away from his parents, means from God, from religious, from spiritual teaching. And now the story starts, that how the child, how he demands, how he tempting everything. Just see. He went towards his parents gaily and walked abreast of them for a while, being, however, soon left behind, attracted by the little insects and worms along the footpath, and that were coming out timid from their hiding place to enjoy the sunshine. "Come, child, come." His parents called from the shade of a grove where they had seated themselves on the edge of a well. He ran towards them. Just again see how how the child again interested, attracted towards that insects who were just coming out of the soil, and how his parents again call him, "Come, child, come." It suggests that how God is always gives us various chance, various signs that we want to, we must attach ourselves with Him, and that is very important. But what happened? We always lost ourselves in various things, like that little child. He has lost himself into that forest, into that dragon flowers, again after that butterfly, then the small insects. But again, he himself, the His parents at each and every time called him. We suggest that each and every time God gives us chance to return back, to our own religious and spiritual thinking. Now the child ran towards them. An old banyan tree outstretched its powerful arms over the blossoming jack and jamun and neem and champak and sirisha and cast its shadows across beds of golden cassis and crimson gulmohar. As an old grandmother spread her skirt over her younger ones, the blushing blossoms freely offered their adoration to the sun. However, in spite of their protecting chaperon by half uncovering themselves, and the sweet perfume of their pollen mingled with the soft, cool breeze that came and went in little puffs, only to be wetted aloft by a stronger gush. Just see again the language, how they use the language. He particularly use such type of language so that we can really see. Here he uses various Indian here he uses various Indian words like the jamun tree, like the neem tree. So this writer for the first time uses Punjabi and Indian idioms and words. Again in above paragraph we see Siva's laughter. Such type of language he used in our particular text. It gives us the toning that we have to use, even we have to use such type of local language while we want to talk in English also, because it gives us that type of regionality writer's name. Then we saw how he attracted towards that Gulmohar trees etc. A shower of young flowers. A shower of young flowers fell upon the child as he entered the grove, and forgetting his parents, he began to gather the raining petals of in his hands. But lo, he heard the boom of the doors and ran towards his parents, shouting, "The door, the door!" The raining petals dropped from his forgotten hand. Just see how one after another we see various temptations. The first thing which we like very much, after some time we can't like that thing and we leave it and we are going behind another temptations. Even in the real world, these things same happen. We always want something. We always desire something. And we when we attain that desire, that goal, we another desire come in front in our mind. We never get satisfied with what we have. And that is our basic problem. What happens? We always see towards our future. We always see towards our future. We always complain from our past and we never live in our present. And that's why we always feel unsatisfied, always want more things. The things which we have, it has enough importance, it has enough happiness, but we can't get happiness, satisfaction from these things. We always feel unhappiness. We always want of human bondage, one of the very famous novels of human bondage, which is related with this topic. If you have time, just read that novel of human bondage. That how our wishes never ended. If we get, we just think that I want that particular job. But what happened when after get that particular thing, that job or anything? After that, we can't live with that thing with uh, much time. We feel bored, and we again want another thing. The same thing here is happened with that child. First, he became attracted particularly with first he became attracted for that flowers. He want to collect the petals from that flower, and suddenly he saw the door and he run behind that door. and due to it, all the petals are dropped from his hands. The same thing is happened with us. We want more, and so what we have, we can't take joy or happiness from that particular thing, from that particular point which we have. A curious look was in his parents' faces, till a choir struck out a note of love and released their pent-up souls. Child, come, child, come. They called to the child, who had now gone running in a wild caper round the banyan tree and gathering him. They took the narrow, winding footpath which led to the fair from the mustard field. As they near the village, just see, we saw various images up to this time, and here from now we saw again various things which attracted, which tempted that boy, that child, and how he attracted. Just here see language. The language is very important. Actually, the message is clear cut that in the world we have a lot of things in which we have tempted, and we have to resist ourselves by getting tempted like such things. But the language here, the writer
Excuse me,
used.
sir.
Yeah.
Time is very short. I think you have to conclude.
Okay. Okay, sir. Friends, after that, we see due to the lack of time, it is not possible to complete this particular text today. So, just we see up to this time, we saw various images, how that particular child, how he attracts towards various images. After that, we saw how he attracts toward various other images like sweets, barfi, jalebi, gulab jamun, and his father and mother, they denied these things. After that, Kulmohar garland, then colorful balloons, then jugglers, flute music, and in the end, he want to ride on that roundabout swing. So these all things, each and everything is related. Each and everything is related with oral, with visual, and olfactory images. So everyone has to remember that we have to control, we have to maintain these type of temptations limited in our own life. In our next period, next lecture, we will complete this remaining story. But before that, I advise all of you to just read this particular story. I just
Okay, sir.
this particular story at your home, line by line with close reading, and at least for 3 times, so that you have to develop not only literary sense but also certain language point of view. Also, it is very important. So up to this point, we have only discussed about theme. We have discussed about the various images which we already see. Now I conclude that from today's lecture, we have stopped here, and we just see in our next lecture, we have complete the remaining part of our present essay. Thanks and goodbye. If anyone has any doubts, they will post on our WhatsApp group also, or even in this chat box
No doubt, sir.
also. Okay. Thank you, students.
Okay, sir.
Okay.